Okay, greetings. My name is Kevin Donahue. I'm the city administrator. We've just finished briefing reporters about the events of August 7th involving the disconnection of CAD from our workstations and the dispatch for all the incidents, but in particularly the incident involving a 5-month-old child. And we are all here to answer any questions that you have. Our purpose to be transparent, answer what questions you have, and also recognize we have a system of 1.8 million calls that come in each year. It makes us the highest per capita for police, for fire, EMS in the country, and we want to make sure we maintain the confidence of DC residents that they can call 911 and get a timely, high-quality response. And with that, we'll open up to any questions that you have.
Have you talked about the number of times you discovered now that your system has gone down since December? Can you walk us through that?
Sure. So when this system went down, we did a review and we asked our IT department to take a third-party look at what's happened. We went back to December of last year. We found that there were 18 incidents that involved some part of the 911 system. Doesn't mean it was all owned by the Office of Unified Communications. It impacted telephony, dispatching, the connectivity of our police and fire units in the field to what's happening in our center. Of those 18, about 10 of them were very limited in scope. They might have affected 1 or 2 calls or a small number of workstations. 8 of them, though, were fairly system-wide. Of those 8, we found that 6 impacted dispatching. And in particular, we found that the 6 impacting dispatching really happened from mid-May until August, which for us typically will have, over the course of time, maybe 1 or 2 instances in a year where something will happen to CAD. 6 is unusual, so we identified and recognized that something is happening with greater frequency. So then we looked at what the root causes are for that. And we found, and my assumption was that there might be 1 or 2 root causes when you see an elevation of this kind of activity. In fact, we found many root causes, really different one for each cause. In this case, on August 2nd, we had a case of an IT contractor that worked for the city's IT department pushing through a change into a system that was supposed to be done to 1 or 2 workstations in a really controlled training environment, and inadvertently pushed it through to every workstation in all of OUC. Totally unacceptable, totally outside of what the norm and expectation was that this person should have done. That involves changing when we do changes to our system, what time of day, what days of the week, and controls around it. That's different than the other causes of the outages for CAD. CrowdStrike affected the entire globe. It also had the effect on CAD during that moment. Obviously, a completely different root cause. Out of that, we have a 22 points of fixing it. So a 22-point plan that addresses both the CAD outages and any other of the 18 incidents that affected OUC and 911 operations over the course of that review. And that's something that we'll make public and really hold ourselves accountable for.
There's now a police investigation into at least one of these, so it seems more than just technical. What can you tell us about, people hear that there's a possible criminal investigation into this. What do we take from that?
I want to make sure we have law enforcement answer a question about a law enforcement investigation. I think the basic premise of it is looking at the question of whether or not there was negligence to the point of being criminal negligence in what was occurring that caused some of the outages. But I really want to make sure law enforcement answer more detailed questions about that.
Mr. Donahue, can I ask you about Octo? You in the room had talked about outdated hardware that's not keeping up with the system. And we know our 911 call center takes 1.8 million calls a year. Why hasn't that system been upgraded? Why are we operating with outdated equipment that fails us?
The system has been for a number of years has had equipment updated. There's a significant capital project that we have in our budget for the fiscal year starting October 1st. So as soon as Octo identified one of the root causes being old equipment that for different reasons was having an effect on our 911 system, we advanced Octo the money to be able to initiate that project right now. So right now we're seeing work done to procure and replace some of that equipment that was slated to begin in October. So some of that we've moved forward to right now to make sure that that equipment gets replaced and that the complexity of what we're asking the servers and the databases to do is reflected in how up-to-date the actual equipment is doing it.
And what's the timeline on that? How quickly can we see
Well, we're going through a quick procurement right now, and the project was supposed to last through the course of the 12 months beginning in October. We're seeing how much we can advance that through faster procurement and really having a laser focus on this project as the most important work being done by Octo. So they're going to surge some resources to it that can accelerate the work as well. It is the exact capital line item I can get to after the interview. But it is a specific capital project on replacing and updating equipment associated with our 911 system.
Director McGowan, you've talked at great length that staffing seems to be your number one concern. How does that connect to mistakes that we've heard about, and has staffing net improved at all in the last 12 months?
Sure. So since staffing has been an issue over the last couple of years at the Office of Unified Communications, starting in May of 2023, we started some new initiatives with Prospect Day, where instead of a 9-month hiring process, we really brought it down for a majority of the events happen in one day. And so we are now able to hire folks in about 3 months. The biggest time piece is working through background checks and certainly through the suitability, which is a psychological element that we have all of our call takers go through because this is such a traumatizing and tough job. And so we have had class sizes anywhere between 15 and 24 dispatchers or call takers coming in, which is huge. Previously, we had call taker class sizes of about 7 or 8. We have 22 openings right now for call takers. We have 63 people going through background checks, so 22 people will start at the end of this month, and then from that we will fill the 19 vacant dispatcher positions from a promotional process. So folks that are already working at OUC will have the chance to promote from call taker to dispatcher. We'll get them through class, and then we will use our pipeline to backfill those 19 positions. Yes, absolutely. When I took the job, we had 57 call taker positions.
And I'm sorry, my question
Sure.
at the beginning was, how do you believe the staffing and burden of extra hours on call takers and dispatchers leads to mistakes? What's the connection between the two?
Absolutely. When you're here for 12 hours, you're taking about 70 or 80 calls. When we're adding hours onto that, the risk of mistakes happening in those extra hours certainly increases. One of the things that I did was I changed the policy from a 6-hour holdover to a 4-hour holdover because we recognized that folks who were answering the question in hour 17 and 18 were making mistakes, and these were folks who had not been making errors previously. So making those changes, ideally, once we're fully staffed, we would certainly look at even reducing the shift hours from 12 to either 8 or 10, which the employees have expressed they would really love and enjoy, but we need full staffing to be able to do that.
Public safety staffing is something that basically every agency around the country has been talking about. And I don't know if there's any government agency at the local, state, federal level that's going to tell you that they have the most up-to-date software, computer system going on all the time. But it seems like these problems seem to be more unique to DC's 911 system in terms of just the different reasons for system failures or mistakes. How come this doesn't happen anywhere else?
It happens. It happens a lot of different places. I was just at the APCO large ECC, which is Emergency Communications Center directors meeting. This is happening at a lot of large centers. We are not alone in this. I think being in the nation's capital and being the call center for the nation's capital, a lot of folks are looking at us. And so I think what happens is when we have these issues, these mistakes, when we're doing things, there's a lot of hyper-focus about what we're doing. I think that we're also trying a lot of different ideas, and that brings a lot of attention. We're also doing a lot of training. So we train folks from all over the nation here in Washington, D.C. Through some grant funding that we get from FEMA and through UASI funding that allows us to open up training. So a lot of people are watching what Washington, D.C. 911 is doing, and so I think that is something that's just drawing a lot of attention to our area. Other jurisdictions nearby far reaches of the nation across the globe are experiencing the same staffing issues, the same challenges of answering the call standard in the 15 seconds or less. In fact, APCO just changed the call standard from 15 seconds to 20 seconds. And so these challenges are common amongst all emergency communication center. I think we're just talking about them more here.
But are the consequences similar in other places?
I'm not sure consequences as far as
You know, the mistakes that lead to, sometimes unfortunately death of another.
absolutely. I think the consequences can certainly be the same anywhere. I think it's how you handle them, right? And so we are holding people accountable here. You know, it's not something that is the most glamorous part of my job, but we hold people accountable. We retrain and we separate when we have to, and we celebrate the wins when we have them. And so, you know, we have a dedicated workforce here in Washington, D.C. They show up every single day. They're your friends, they're your neighbors. We have one of the highest percentages of Washingtonians who serve in our agency. About 54% of the people who work at the Office of Unified Communications call Washington, D.C. home. And so these folks are showing up every day to support their community because they love what they do. And we need to recognize them as the public safety folks that they are. They're first responders, right? They're answering the call, and they deserve that recognition, and they deserve that laud for the great, amazing work that they do every day.
Secretary, now, when you talk about accountability, the OUC has a long history of problems, of mistakes, lack of transparency. These have all been identified in multiple audits. One of the great examples of the lack of transparency is it's taken your office almost 3 weeks to talk to us about the death of the baby on August 2nd. How are we, and how is the public to believe that there's going to be any improvement on your end when it comes to transparency when your history is to do the exact opposite? How are we to know if there is any accountability?
So, you know, when we talk about the August 2nd, we explained, just when we've spent time in this room, we had to do a lot of digging to find things. Our normal course of action to investigate this incident wasn't available to us. We didn't have a CAD system. We had to use the AED. We had to get our medical director involved. We had to get the body-worn camera pulled, so we needed to get...
That doesn't prevent you from coming to the media and saying, we're working on it, this is a terrible circumstance, here's what we're doing, we'll get back to you when we know more, versus sequestering yourself and making it impossible for any of us to get any information.
The deputy mayor did put out a statement and advised that we were working on it.
Why didn't you?
I work for the deputy mayor. It was a system-wide issue that involved everybody. It wasn't just the Office of Unified Communications. It was the fire department, it was the police department, and she was speaking for all of us.
Director, what we haven't heard you say is I'm sorry. What apology can you offer to the family who's left with a child?
My condolences to the family. Losing a child is unimaginable. Our call takers did everything that they could in those moments to reassure and offer guidance during that time. We trained.
An ambulance that was on another call sent them to another place. The system did not do everything it should have done to help this family.
There was a system mistake. We are addressing that. We are working, Chief Donnelly and I are meeting with Deputy Mayor Appiah tomorrow afternoon, of how we can make the system better. No one person did anything in this. If one person had done something in this, I would be holding them accountable. They wouldn't be answering 911 calls or dispatching units at the Office of Unified Communications.
Has anybody from the administration called the family to have this same conversation with the family?
I know that MPD had conversations with the family, but the administration has not reached out to the family at this point.
And so, Dr. Gaffney, can you talk about why, I know you laid it out for us in the briefing, but, a lot of things didn't go right during this. Can you explain, for instance, why when dispatch went, and I know the whole roll call thing was going on at the same time, but why didn't your dispatchers verbally confirm with Engine 28, with Medic 31, EMS 5, I'm going to get the numbers wrong, that they were actually en route to where they were dispatching? In fact, 2 of them were on other calls. Why were you relying on this roll call rather than having your call takers or the dispatchers verbally confirm
Sure. It was very chaotic in that moment, switching from switching from automated to manual. Those are things that we're certainly going to improve upon going forward. When in the automated sense, those things all happen automatically. They go en route, they go arrived automatically. We rely really heavily on technology, just like FEMS and MPD rely really heavily on technology. And so those are things that we just have to practice more, and we're committed to doing in the future.
Felicia, that's the questions right here that
This for our first responders leadership. This comes from council members, ANC members, and first responders themselves. We're on the other end, to be directed and respond. They have questions of the leadership they have seen, whether it's within OUC, public safety. Where's your confidence right now?
So I think what we've talked about is that we process 1.8 million calls here. We're getting to those calls. Yes, there's a bit of a challenge at times getting the phone answered, and we want you to stay on hold while that's going on. But I have confidence in the OUC. We are, Director McGaffin and I have been working together for since before she became the director, to address any issues that are coming up. So I have confidence in the OUC. I've had to call it myself.
All right, last question.
Sure. So I just want to go through the timeline and see either Dr. or Chief Brown, if you want to address it. So what we know is when the first call came in, 54 seconds on hold. That was before the cat went down. Cat went down, there was a 9-minute gap. Then the mom and the dad both separately called back. We went over that it took a little under 3 minutes for the dispatch to go out. That's when we were in manual mode. And that does take a little bit longer. Ambulance arriving at 13:11. Do we have any indication that if this cascade of problems hadn't happened, that it would have made a difference?
So thank you for that question. We are reminded in this case of the importance of learning CPR. We have a hands-on heart program in the District of Columbia where we go out and we train folks how to do hands-only CPR. We are working relentlessly to get more AEDs out into the community and fill in our AED deserts. And this case reminds us of the critical importance of all those things. We're really fortunate in this case that there was somebody at the address who was performing CPR almost immediately when the parents summoned help, and they were supported by the arrival of some federal officers that were in the area that continued CPR without interruption. Our crews responded immediately after they received the call. They deployed an AED, did high-performance CPR. I reviewed the call from top to bottom. The care was completely appropriate. So I don't think that, despite the challenges here, I don't think there was any degradation in the quality of care that was provided. Director McGaffin, what do you say to the public and council members who say your agency is in crisis and they have lost faith in the management?
We take 1.8 million calls a year, and I recognize that some of them don't go perfectly, but for a large majority of them, they go really, really well with really great outcomes. And we're committed to that. We're committed always to minimizing errors, minimizing mistakes. And, you know, my goal has always been and will always continue to be to have a reliable 911 system that is fully staffed with minimal wait times, that the residents and visitors of Washington, D.C. are confident in. We will continue to do that work to get it there. And when you call 911, don't hang up. That's the most important thing you can do. If you are in an emergency situation, stay on the line.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.